What's up, YouTubers? Hardworker12 with you here. And today I have a Jeep Gladiator Overland. Now the Jeep Gladiator is the new pickup truck from Jeep, and so far it hasn't been very successful for them. And today we're going to find out why, maybe. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you a full review on the vehicle. I'm going to go over the history and the heritage. We're going to look at the styling and the Easter eggs. We're going to look at the cargo measurements and the passenger room. We're going to look at the interior features on this particular Gladiator Overland, and we're going to take it for a test drive. Now, if some of that sounds interesting and some of it sounds boring, check the description below because I'll put timestamps in there for the various sections of the vehicle so that you can skip the commercials and get to exactly what you're looking for. I'm just kidding though, there's still going to be commercials. So let's talk about the history and the heritage of this vehicle. Now, everybody knows the history of Jeep. Originally put into service in 1941 for the U.S. Army, just prior to the outbreak of World War II, and of course, helping the Allied forces to victory in that war. Once the war ended, the Willis Overland Corporation started building the CJ line of Jeeps, which of course stood for Civilian Jeep, and not long after that, they introduced the first Jeep truck in 1947. And the line of trucks kept going from there. As a matter of fact, the original Jeep Gladiator was introduced in 1962, and it was based on the Jeep Wagoneer. Fast forward to the 80s, and of course they introduced the Jeep Comanche, which was based on the Cherokee, and that was built from 1986 to 1992. So even though it's been a solid 28 years since Jeep offered a truck, it certainly is in their history. Now, let's talk about the styling on the vehicle. And I think that the styling on the Jeep Gladiator might be its most important trait. And I say that because this vehicle is inexorably linked to the Jeep Wrangler. Obviously, from the front like this, you can't even tell the difference. And the reason why most people buy Jeep Wranglers, I would say a majority of people who buy Jeep Wranglers, is because they like how they look. Now, there are some hardcore off-road enthusiasts who buy the cars and take them off-roading, and that makes me very happy because that's what a Wrangler, and subsequently a Gladiator, is really best at. But in my opinion, the truck bed of the Gladiator kind of ruins the Wrangler-y look up front. It just makes the proportions odd. It would probably look better if the truck bed were shorter. But if Jeep would have done that, they would have put themselves into Subaru Baja territory of building a quote-unquote pickup truck that was just about useless from a practical point of view. So I think they made the best compromise they could, and it didn't come out that well, and that's why the Gladiator isn't selling as well as they expected it to, and it doesn't sell nearly as well as its Wrangler counterpart. But let's just take a little walk around. The new front end on the Wrangler, Gladiator, whatever this thing is, pretty much looks like every Wrangler since the YJ came out in, 97? They did put LED headlights on there, which kind of bothered me at first because it's such an old school vehicle. But the LED headlights look all right. I don't know. If you like how it looks, go buy one, because they're discounting the hell out of them right now. But there is a lot of heritage involved with the looks as well. And that brings us to something that any video about a new Jeep has to cover, and that would be the Easter eggs. So before we start talking about the Easter eggs, we're going to start right up front with the Jeep 7-slot grille, because this is relevant to the rest of the conversation. Now, the reason why Jeeps have 7-slot grills is because supposedly, allegedly, a Jeep was the first vehicle that traveled on all 7 continents. It's not for historical purposes. The original military Jeeps did not have 7-slot grills, but the new ones do because of the 7-continent thing. So let's see how many of these 7-slot grills they managed to hide all over the car. If we look under the hood, right above the headlight, you'll notice 7 slots on both sides. Now, up here where the windshield wipers are, we have 7 more slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why not? And it's a bit hard to see on this car because of the tinted windshield, but right here we have an imprint of a Willis Jeep on the passenger side low corner of the windshield. Now on the other side of this wiper cowl, we have the imprint of two flip-flops right here. Apparently that's an homage to the automotive journalist Rick Payway, who's a huge Jeep enthusiast and assisted Jeep with development and went off-roading with them a lot or something. And he must have really funny jokes and buy a lot of beers at the bar for them to put his flip-flops on the car. Now, I don't want you Jeep fans to get mad at me in the comments, but somewhere, supposedly on these wheels, there's supposed to be sort of an imprint of an original Willys Jeep. But I'll be darned if I can find it on this particular Gladiator. Now, in the bed of the truck, there's a couple more. Right down here, if I can get it on camera, you'll notice a heart and a 419. 419 is the area code for Toledo, Ohio, which is where this vehicle was built and where Jeeps have been built almost since their inception. I think that's a really nice touch. Also, on the bed of the truck, you'll notice here, and same thing on the other side there, that is meant to be the imprint of a dirt bike tire. So it shows you where to park your dirt bikes if you're taking them somewhere in your Gladiator. And if I pull back, that's also part of a 7-slot grill with the headlights, because you got to have 7 slots on a Jeep. Another Easter egg is down here on the passenger side floor mat. When you get the factory Mopar rubber floor mats, you have the skull of a Tyrannosaurus Rex in observance of the Jeep Wrangler's participation in the first Jurassic Park film. Couple more Easter eggs on the interior of the vehicle. You'll notice this sort of 3-spoke surround around the Jeep logo on the steering wheel. That is meant as a reference to the 3-spoke steering wheel on the original World War II era Willys Jeep. And also in our center screen here in between the speedometer and the tachometer, if we go to the correct screen, there is a picture of a World War II era Willys Jeep embedded in one of the information screens. Did I miss any Easter eggs? I'm sure I did. Put them down in the comments below. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you know I love my tape measure, and I like to measure out the cargo area of various SUVs and wagons and sedans. And the Jeep is a truck, so just purely out of habit, I'm going to measure out the cargo bed. Bed length to the tailgate, 5 feet. Width of the bed at the opening, 49.5 inches. Width of the bed at its narrowest point, 44.5 inches. Total height of the bed, about 18 inches. That may be completely useless because all that's probably published somewhere else, but at least I feel like I did it. Also, just for fun, load height from the ground to the tailgate, 32 inches. Now you know. Let's look at the passenger room. So now we're going to look at the passenger room on the vehicle. And the way I test this is by using myself. I'm 6'5", so let's see if I can sit behind myself in a Gladiator. Well, I fit in the driver's seat. I can already tell it doesn't look good. Oh! Yeah, not really. I would describe the Gladiator's passenger room as okay, but not great. Obviously, I'm a little bit of an extreme case because it's very rare for most families or groups of people to be having two individuals 6'5" sitting in front of and behind each other. But the body-on-frame construction of this particular vehicle does hamper its passenger carrying ability. Makes it stronger for off-roading and stronger for towing, but you pay a price for passenger capacity. All right, so now let's talk about the features on this particular Jeep Gladiator. And quite frankly, if you're shopping for one of these cars and you're trying to figure out which one to buy, God love you, because as near as I can tell, there's 7 models. The Sport, the Sport S, the Altitude, the Overland, which this one is, the North Edition, the Rubicon, and the Mojave. And it really doesn't matter too much which one you pick because everything is optional. So let's go over what's on this specific car. So what you get with the Overland package, which is kind of the middle package, is the body-colored side fender flares, and it also makes the leather-trimmed bucket seats an option. The leather seats are not an option on the lower models. And the premium LED lighting group, that also becomes optional once you select an Overland. So if those are two items that are very important to you, this is one of the packages that you can look at. We have customer preferred package 24G, trailer tow package, cold weather group, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, remote start. I've got the 8.4-inch radio and premium audio group with the navigation. The navigation system is not very good. It does have 5 years of Sirius XM travel link and traffic service. That's not the same as the radio. It just gives you kind of live traffic and other information to the factory nav. You do get the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto standard as well on the Overland package. That's maybe a better choice than the navigation system, the factory navigation system in the car. Now, one interesting feature is the auxiliary switch group, which is $295. And what that is right down here, I have these 4 auxiliary switches. And what I can do with those is hook up various lights and winches and other off-road accessories. So if you're going to do some serious off-roading, they actually give you the option to have those switches pre-wired in there for additional equipment. That's pretty cool that they do that. I guess they figure people are going to hook that stuff up anyway, so they might as well make the wiring cleaner. This one also has the cargo management group with the trail rail system. That includes a truck bed 115 volt AC outlet and the lockable rear underseat storage bin. I've got the all-weather slush mats with the Tyrannosaurus Rex head on there. 8-speed automatic transmission is a $2,000 option. That's interesting. So a manual transmission is actually standard on the Jeep Gladiator. So for those of you still wanting a stick shift, Jeep does have you covered. This one's got the track lock, anti-spin rear differential. That's a limited slip rear. That would probably be a mandatory option for me if I were going to buy one of these cars. Remote keyless entry with proximity sensor. This is cheesy. So all of the Gladiators have the push button start, but if you want to be able to walk up to the car with the key in your pocket or your purse or your bag and just put your hand in the handle and unlock the door, you're gonna have to pay an additional $495 for that. Black Freedom top, 3-piece hard top, $12.95 with the rear window defroster and a spray-in bed liner for a total price of $54,105. Now the price is high enough, but what bothers me is what's not included. So if you look at my steering wheel, you'll notice I have standard cruise control on this car, no adaptive cruise control, no blind spot monitors, no forward collision alert, none of that stuff. So if you want the blind spot monitoring with the rear cross traffic alert and the rear parking sensors, that will be an additional $895 for the Jeep Active Safety Group. And the adaptive cruise control and forward collision plus package, which gives you the advanced brake assist, the adaptive cruise, and the forward collision warning, that's $795. So if you outfitted this particular Gladiator with those safety features that are rapidly becoming standard on much cheaper vehicles, you would have an MSRP of upwards of $56,000. And to me, that's a disappointment. That's at this price point in 2020, those features should really be standard in a car with that price. Now, if we look down here, the charging port situation in the front, if I pop this open, I've got a USB port, I've got a USB-C, I've got an auxiliary audio jack. I also have a standard 12-volt style power outlet there. Power windows, of course, this car does have power windows. The switches are mounted in the center, I think because the doors are removable. It's just easier to mount the switches in the center. And I do have automatic down on my front windows, but they're not automatic up, which is, again, kind of strange in a car of this price point. And as far as I can tell, there is no CD player in this vehicle. But you do get a proper four-wheel drive system with four-wheel drive high and four-wheel drive low for serious off-road work. And down in the center console, I do have one more USB charging port there. And in the cup holders, I have a handy little space to store my key. That I really like. So in the back seat, I do have air vents for the rear passengers, which is nice. I have controls for the power windows. I got all kind of charging ports, 2 standard USB ports, 2 USB-C ports, and I have a household style 115 volt outlet. So I have even more charging in the back seat than I do in the front seat. All right, so driving the Jeep Gladiator, and I'm just gonna come out and say it, I don't really like this thing. Now, if you're used to driving pickup trucks, or a Jeep Wrangler for that matter, you'll probably like it just fine. It does have a stiff ride like a truck, but not as stiff as the older Jeep Wranglers. The handling's all right. The steering doesn't have a whole lot of feel, but body roll's pretty well controlled. It's currently 97 degrees outside, and I have to say the air conditioner in this car is not very good. And this particular car has dark tinted windows and a tinted windshield, so it's a mark off for the AC, which is normally a strong point for American cars. But yeah, it's not really my kind of car, I'll be honest about that. If you're the type of person that likes a pickup truck, likes a Jeep Wrangler, likes that feel, that kind of stiff, jiggly, on-the-road feel with somewhat ponderous handling, or at least you're used to it and you're willing to put up with it for the other benefits that you get from driving a truck or a Jeep, you may like this car very well. So if that's you, good for you. You'll like the Gladiator just fine. But if you're the type of person who's currently driving, say, a Toyota RAV4, a Nissan Altima, and you just like the way this car looks, which is what I think at least brings a lot of people to this car's cousin, the Wrangler, you're in for a little bit of a surprise, and you may not be so happy with the way that it drives and handles. So I definitely recommend a test drive for anybody buying any car, but for sure on one of these, if you're not used to it and you're not sure what you're getting yourself into, drive it. But yeah, the air conditioner's not making me so happy right now. Taking off from a stoplight. Feel the power. Somebody's jaywalking. The power is actually pretty good. This one has the 3.6 liter V6, and you know, it's not a hot rod, but it definitely has enough power to get you where you need to go. I like this engine a lot. This is what's known as the Pentastar V6, and Chrysler, Mopar, Stellantis, Atlantis, whatever it is they're called these days, they've used this engine in a lot of their vehicles over the years. They use it in Dodges and Chrysler 300s and minivans and base engine in a Ram truck, and it's a fine motor. It's got plenty of power, it's got good torque, it won't do anything to offend you, and it sounds all right. Give it the beans. Might have been a little over the speed limit, but school's out right now, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Getting it out on the highway, if it's a relatively smooth highway like this, it feels fine, the ride's fine. The steering is accurate, but it's light and you don't have a whole lot of feel. You don't have much idea at sort of 65 miles an hour what the front wheels are actually doing. But I am imagining that based on where my recording apparatus is pointed, you're going to be hearing probably some wind noise, because you do get wind noise in this thing, and part of it appears to be some panel gap or sort of an air hole in the front door. It's not quite airtight, or as airtight as you would want it in a brand new car. And of course the aerodynamics, this thing is kind of shaped like a brick, hurts that a little bit as well. But you know, you do get more wind noise than anything else. And of course, if you put some aggressive tires on it, off-road tires like a lot of Jeep people do, you'd be getting even more noise than this. So your mileage may vary on the driving. It's all based on your expectations. If you're expecting a Jeep, that's what you're going to get. But if you've never driven a Jeep and you just like the way one of these things looks and you buy it, you're in for a little bit of a surprise, because it's probably not going to please you with its driving manners. But that's what test drives are for, and that's what YouTube videos are for. So hopefully some useful information came out of that. So anyway, that's my review on the 2020 Jeep Gladiator Overland. I hope you enjoyed it. It's certainly a Jeep and it's certainly a truck. Whether those are two things you want, I don't know. That's up to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Hardworker12. Please like and subscribe. You'll make me very happy. And have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.